mission. What's the name of the brother who just left now? The brother was there, what's his name? Walter. So Walter just gave me permission to come here. Victor was kind of hesitating, so now I have authority because he said, the Bible says that when you have gifts, I don't think I need a mic. Do I need a mic? Yeah. I do? Yeah. Right, okay. So, something has been in my heart to, I suppose maybe it could be my nature to try to kind of share what I have. I've got a limited space on this app. So, I want to share what I think helped me. Went through 18 years of depression and the healing. And the key thing that I found out is that it doesn't matter what is causing your stress. It doesn't matter what problem you have. The mind processes this the same way. And I got to find out that there are things that we don't find in the Bible that help us in the way we are made by God. So I want to talk about the power of the mindset, or connecting the Bible to the nature of man. So when I've been in the church for, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 years or so. And I have not found, in very specific, very clear terms, the structure of the message to become and to drive your life based on what God has put in our minds and how God works. But we find in reference things, scriptures like, thou shalt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed in thee, whose mind is stayed on thee. And the Bible is always, talking to us about working with the mind. But the way our mind works, we don't get that detail. And I want to share with us what I found in studying transformation for organizations, and I found that is the same for man. So in other words, I want us to understand the power of the mindset. I want to talk about this thing that is becoming more dominant now that they call psychodynamics. The word is big. The psycho is the mind. Dynamics is mental mechanics of the mind, how the mind works to create psychologies that then become our mindsets. And what is a mindset? Who can tell me what a mindset is? What is a mindset, bro?
A fixed belief.
A fixed belief.
Perception.
A perception. Can we say that mindset would actually be a set of beliefs?
Yes.
A person is driven by a set of beliefs. The process in your life is based on a set of beliefs. So, but how does that become? How does that become? There's a thing called philosophy where people start thinking. You all start with some ideas, okay? How about this? How does this work? And then you say, oh yeah, this works like this. And then you choose from there and say, oh yeah, this, I think I'm going to work with this. And then, I'm going to go to Burma, right? I'm going to go to Burma next week. You have started with all the ideas. Now your mind is set to go to Burma, and when you get there, you know exactly what you want to do. You want to go to the refugee camps and so forth. And that's how it happens. So the relevance is this, that we find ourselves as people in these unhappy situations, in these stressful situations. And even though we are Christians, we find it difficult generally to get the peace and to walk in the peace. And by God's grace, that's the one thing that I was able, by God's revelation, to understand that when you have that depression, the first thing you want is to have peace. And by having peace, you are connecting to the inner potential. And I wanna give an analogy here, a picture here that I hope I can tell me what is 5 minutes. What you are doing? Vic,
You
what
have
do you
5.
want? Oh,
You have
come
5.
on! No. So here we are. Right? Here we are. This is the projector, right? And we are. This is a screen. Oh, I wish I could see put this way a little bit. I think we can see. So here is a screen, right? And here's the projector, and here's the director here, and here's the movie, right? So now, the movie that is shown here comes from where? From this projector. Who made this movie? The director, right? Now, imagine that this is your mind. And this is your consciousness in your mind, awareness, right? Your consciousness in your mind. And you, your soul, your identity, Victor, this is you here, you're the director of your life. Now, this movie is the experience that you create. Your experience that you create, right? So now the director here chooses what movie to play. Let's put in the projector. Now, if it is you, it means that you choose the experience that you decide here that you think. So you're the director of creating your own experience in your own life. And your mind projected on your consciousness as the experience that you don't like or you are happy with. Now, in a stressful situation, most times we are projecting movies that don't exist. We are projecting movies of things that don't exist because we have the fear. But the key thing is this, that our mind, we have inner constructs within us. We have inner constructs within us that we can modulate, that we can organize, so that we end up with the situation we want. So if you change your thinking here, as a director can change your experience. These are something that we can talk about. So imagine you are here. Imagine you are here. Oh, yeah, that's better. Whatever you mean. So imagine you are here, and this is an unsatisfactory situation that you are in. You are stressed. You are unhappy here because whatever the circumstance is. Now, but to be here, it means you started here. Let's say it's marriage or business. Business, you are now broke, right? Or you're done well, but you want something bigger. Or it's marriage, right? So here is where what? The depression is created, the stress is created, but you've started here. When you start here, things are okay. You get married, you start a business, and you think, hey, you know what? It's going to be great. So you start with mindset 1, right? In that mindset, you are happy, and you create this situation here. This situation through this journey that you create, which is the process, right? The journey that you create. Now, so when you are here, we say that the actions, the process that you create comes from a mindset. And so half the time we struggle because we don't understand the idea of creating a new mindset. A new mindset here, mindset 2, so that we can have the future that we want. In other words, we are given by God the power within us to see the future and create a new vision. In other words, it's more critical to think whatever the state, whether it's marriage, divorce, you're more powerful and you're more likely not to fall into a depression if you quickly think, what is the next space you want? What is the space you want in the future? Well, we don't do that. We go stuck here with, I can't do this is what happened to me, and so forth and so forth. But how do we do that? As Christians, you know that there's a scripture that says, who has gained a height, right, by this measure, by worrying? You should not worry. And you said, I'll make rivers in the desert and roads in the wilderness. Now, the power we have, but what I'm saying is this power, if you follow the scriptures and understand that the struggle, the confusion we have, it's your mind saying, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want the future to be? Now, because we're not taught this, we're not aware that that's what's happening. You have to tell your friend, and your friend strengthens you here. Your friend strengthens you here. But the key thing is that you can begin to create by whatever the situation that it is, you try to accept it and use the scriptures, the power of the scriptures. That whoever says to this mountain, be removed with no doubt in his heart, by believing that what he says will come to pass, believe whatever he says. The Bible is power, it means what it says. And the Bible is saying that the system is already set to help you, but it only helps you when you create this new space here where you want to be. And when you start moving with this, all the components of God will begin to work with you. The system that God is describing in the Bible begins to move with you. The key thing here is to create a new mindset. You're no longer married, you're no longer running the business is broke, whatever your losses, you are no longer there. The first I understand that I'm going to have to live a different situation, the easier it is to manage the stress, because now we're not focusing on the problems, you're focusing on strategies and challenges. So the key thing here is that we're driven by mindset. That's what I say. The mindset and the scripture is what creates the peace. You have to start thinking of the new ideas, new philosophy, new psychology. What are the possibilities? What am I going to do, and so forth. I'll give you an example. How many minutes I have? 2 minutes?
You're at 15 right now, but go.
I'm at 15. 10 minutes so fast. Oh my God. Anyway, so I'll give you an example. So when I was going through a depression, when I began to kind of see, that I could do something, I used to be a contractor, and it was 2008, and I realized I could not be a contractor. So what can I do? And also I thought that I lost everything. I did engineering. I thought I'd forgotten all the stuff. I'm just like a high school. So I decided to go. I said, I'm going to be a facilities manager because of air conditioning construction. I'm going to be a facilities manager. So I went back to school to study again. And I got about 60 certifications in about a year about buildings, HVAC, and so forth. So while I was doing that, I got so busy in studying and seeing the future that what was going on was made easier. So I hope that this, this short version of this impromptu presentation can help some of us. And obviously, it's something that behind the scenes we can talk about to help. Thank you.
All right.